Look at this painting. A child, enormous eyes, mouth shut. She's staring right at you, and she's not saying a word. If you've seen this painting before, you probably think you know who made it. But actually you don't. That's exactly what this story is about. San Francisco, early 1960s. Picture a gallery, not some grand museum. A small, little space where the smell of turpentine mixes with coffee, and people walk slowly and speak in low voices. They stop in front of the paintings, and something happens. Not admiration, no. Something else. Something between fascination and the quiet unease. Because the paintings show children, women, figures, and every single one of them has these eyes. Huge, out of proportion, taking up nearly half the face. Not scary, not exactly, but not peaceful either. Eyes that seem to know something, feel something, and can't or won't put it into words. The critics wrinkle their noses. Kitsch, they say. Sentimental, not real art. But regular people, they buy them over and over again, because in those eyes they recognize something. Something they can't quite name, but something they felt. The paintings spread, prints, cards, posters. They show up in shops, in homes, in offices. Andy Warhol says something interesting about them. We'll get to that in a minute. But for now, the artist's name is getting louder and louder. A portrait without a name. He knows how to walk into a room. That's a real skill. Not everyone has it. Big smile, loud voice, a story always ready to go. He talks about traveling through Europe, about seeing children on the streets of Paris, hungry, with these enormous eyes. About how it moved him. Journalists write it all down. Gallery owners nod along. Collectors open their checkbooks. He's charming. He's convincing. He's exactly what people imagine when they picture an artist. Especially people who have never held a paintbrush themselves. He has just one small problem. He can't paint. Well, barely. He tried, he had a few pieces. City landscapes, pretty mediocre. But these paintings, the ones with the huge eyes that the whole world is buying, he didn't paint a single one. Here is how it worked. He had a wife, and she painted every day, sometimes 16 hours straight. While he gave interviews, she stood at the easel. While he smiled at gallery openings, she was finishing the next painting. While his name became a brand, her name appeared nowhere. She'd been drawing since she was a child. Literally, since she was a child. From the moment she could hold a pencil. But there was one detail from her story that almost nobody knew. When she was young, she lost sight in one eye. An injury. Surgery. A glass prosthetic. And from that point on, she saw the world differently. Literally differently. She learned to observe, to compensate, to read people through their faces, through their expressions, through their gaze, through what hides behind their eyes. Eyes became her language, the place where the truth lives, even when the mouth is saying something else. They met at an outdoor art fair. She was showing her work, so was he. He was charming. He sat he understood art, that she had a real gift. She was a young woman in a world that treated women artists with polite skepticism. And they got married. And at first, it all felt right. Temporarily. The first time he suggested it, it sounded logical. Simple, even. He said, galleries don't buy work by women. Collectors don't trust it. The market isn't ready. Let's try it differently. Just temporarily. Just to get our foot in the door. She thought about it and she agreed. Temporarily. You know that word. Temporarily. It has a way of quietly becoming years. 1 year, 3 years, 5. And every time she thought, we need to stop this. He found a reason why it was still too soon. The whole thing was actually pretty simple. They both signed the paintings with the same last name because it was their shared name. And nobody asked which one of them did it. He did not clarify, and she stayed quiet. The room where she worked was off limits to anyone from outside. Always. If someone came to the house, she'd stop working, put the canvases away. If someone asked where he painted, he'd say, at the studio. There was no studio. The words shifted over time. First, this is temporary. Then, you won't survive without me. Then, who's going to believe you? Then, threats. Direct ones. He told her if she ever told the truth, he would kill her. She believed him. Or maybe she didn't quite believe it, but she didn't know what to do with that fear. So, she just kept painting. What this does to a person, here is the most disturbing part of this story. Not that he stole her work, but that gradually she started to believe his version of things. That without his name, the paintings were worth nothing. That on her own, she was nobody. That this was just how it was. That's what isolation does, slowly, quietly. She stopped seeing friends, stopped talking to family. Her whole world shrank down to the easel, a closed door and his voice. And she kept painting. Children with closed mouths, women looking inward, figures that want to say something and can't. Painting after painting. As if she was screaming through the only language that left her. Remember I mentioned Andy Warhol? Here is what he said about these paintings. I don't understand why, if you like a picture, you can't just say you like it. That was a defense. At a time when the art world was turning its back, one of the most important artists of the era was saying, these paintings matter. He didn't know the truth. Nobody did. In 1965, she filed for divorce. Not because it had gotten easier, because it had become impossible. She moved away, far, to Hawaii. Different air, different rhythm. Nobody there knew her. She started over. In Hawaii, she got faithful. You can't think what you like about that, but for her, it meant one specific thing. Her new faith said, lying is a sin. Any lie. Even a convenient one, even one that's been going on for 15 years. And she made a decision. 1970. She went on the radio, just like that. No lawyers, no press releases. And she said into the microphone, these paintings are mine. I painted them. All of them. Quietly, no drama, just a fact. He heard it and immediately declared she's lying. The world didn't know who to believe. 1986. 16 more years had passed. 16 years of her telling the truth. 16 years of him denying it. In 1986, she sued. The courtroom was packed. This was a sensation, a scandal, front page material. Who painted the big eyes, her or him? The judge listened to arguments, listened to testimony, listened to both versions, and then he did something no one expected. He just said simply, "All right, prove it." He asked them both, right now, right here, in this room, to pick up a brush and paint something. Silence. Imagine that moment. The whole room frozen. No words, no versions, no whispers, no lawyers, just hands, and either there is something in them or there isn't. She stood up, picked up a canvas, picked up a brush, and started painting. Calmly, no wasted movement, no performance, like someone who had done this thousands of times in a locked room at night while everyone slept. 53 minutes. The portrait was done. A woman, big eyes, a closed mouth. What about him? He refused. Said his shoulder was hurting. The moment it all lands, stop right here. Think about what this means. All those years, people looked at paintings with enormous eyes and thought that's a style, an artistic choice, his vision. But it was her. A woman who could not speak, a woman who could not sign her own name, a woman who'd been convinced that her voice was not worth anything. She painted enormous eyes because since childhood she knew when your mouth is silent, only your eyes tell the truth. She was screaming from every canvas for 20 years and nobody heard her. Her name is Margaret Keane. The court ruled in her favor, awarded her $4 million in damages. She never saw a cent of it. He was bankrupt, but she got something else. She got her name back. What happened next? Margaret kept painting. Same big eyes, same silent faces, but now her signature was underneath them. In 2014, Tim Burton made a film about her, Big Eyes. Amy Adams plays the lead. Margaret herself appears in it. Margaret Keane plays Margaret Keane. Finally. She's in her 90s now. She's still painting. And you know what? The most striking thing about this story is not the trial. It's not the victory. It's not the film. It's the truth, all of it. She never stopped creating. Even when her name was nowhere, even when her voice was silent, even when the world was applauding someone else, she kept painting because it was hers, genuinely, completely hers. And no name on a canvas could ever change that fact. Not then, not now. Margaret Keane. Remember that name, because now you know whose eyes those really are.